Welcome back to this special edition of MLB Tonight. Here's an excerpt of what Shohei Ohtani posted on his Instagram profile earlier Saturday afternoon to all the fans and everyone involved in the baseball world. I apologize for taking so long to come to a decision. I have decided to choose the Dodgers as my next team. And it's a statement that he went on to. It's a pretty expansive statement, so I urge you to check it out. Let's bring in Shohei Davidia. He's a baseball columnist for Sportsnet in Toronto, and he joins us now here on MLB Tonight. Shai, thank you for the time. How would you describe the mood now among Blue Jay fandom and people in Toronto?
Understandably crushed. I mean, this was an incredible possibility. The Blue Jays have done well in free agency in recent years, but Shohei Ohtani is a singular opportunity. That's the way the Blue Jays were looking at it. He captures the imagination like few fans in the game. And look, there was a lot of excitement that had built over the past week, especially once news broke of that visit to the player development complex in Dunedin. That certainly made it seem as if Shohei Ohtani's interest was genuine and fed into it. And look, at where the Blue Jays are at, they've got a good team that they're trying to push over the edge. And Ohtani was really one opportunity to give them a major push forward. So with that off the table now, it's a much more complicated path forward for them this offseason. And again, you're not going to get anyone who will capture the imagination, create the type of excitement and buzz that Shohei Ohtani does.
Shai, you mentioned the visit to Dunedin and their spring training complex there. What sense do you have of how the visit went? What the Blue Jay officials thought of him, vice versa? Do you have any insight into that visit?
Not specific to that visit. I will say that all along, I got the sense that the Blue Jays felt pretty good about their various presentations and interactions with Ohtani, that they were able to really put their best foot forward and make their case of why Toronto was the spot for him. You know, that specific visit, I would imagine that they would have showed him the various technological tools that they could have employed with him and the way that they would help him really max out his abilities as a player. But beyond that, the Blue Jays have been trying to respect that process and have been remarkably tight-lipped about what has gone on.
Sounds like Ivan Drago. They had it. We're going to go ahead and do something new with him. Hey, let me ask you this one. You were talking about the window, and we've been hearing a lot about the window with Vlad and Bichette and the young talent, and we obviously thought this was going to be a team that might make a serious run in the AL East without Ohtani. What do they pivot to, and what are the Blue Jays looking for, or do they stay with this window in this time and try to push it through?
Well, I still think they're staying with this window. They've got a team that right now is probably a couple moves away from being a very, very solid playoff club. I think what they do is probably going to be short term at this point. There aren't a lot of necessarily long-term options. Maybe Cody Bellinger is someone that they pivot to, but look, there'd be a lot of interest in him, and there's no guarantees that you land him. And so a lot of the players that you could see fitting for them, maybe a Rhys Hoskins, maybe a JD Martinez, Justin Turner, that's more shorter term. A Jock Peterson, again, it's for a 1 to 2, 3 year kind of window. And that's where sort of the Blue Jays are at in terms of their competitiveness. It's, you know, Bo and Vladdy are the big ones who were up for free agency after 2025, but it's a lot of other players too. And so if the Blue Jays who are going to be up for free agency at that point. So if the Blue Jays don't start replenishing a little bit and adding some longer term pieces, they really start facing a decision at the end of next season, I would think.
Shohei Davidia covering the Major League Baseball and the Toronto Blue Jays in Toronto for Sportsnet. Shai, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, guys.